Welcome to today's tutorial. Whether you're just starting your journey as a medical science liaison or already a few years in the field, these 10 recommendations will help sharpen your focus and elevate your impact. Think of them as your compass in the complex, fast-paced world of medical affairs. Let's dive right in. Let's begin with what truly anchors the MSL role: relationships. Your success in the field is built on your ability to connect authentically with key opinion leaders, not as someone promoting an agenda, but as a trusted, credible scientific partner. Now, here's the part many overlook. Trust is not given, it's earned. And it's earned over time through transparency, active listening, and delivering value consistently. You see, establishing trust does more than open doors for meetings. It fosters genuine collaboration. When a KOL sees you as someone who listens carefully to their challenges and brings them relevant scientific solutions, they're more likely to engage, share, and collaborate on meaningful projects. Let's reflect on this. When was the last time you asked a KOL not just what they think of the data, but how that data applies to their patient population? When you take the time to understand their real needs, the dynamic shifts. You're no longer just sharing slides, you're co-creating ideas. This trust-based relationship often leads to joint problem solving, real-world data discussions, educational partnerships, and sometimes even contributions to shaping the medical strategy itself. And here's the true value. These collaborations can lead to innovative solutions that improve patient outcomes and elevate standards of care. For example, a KOL may highlight a gap in patient adherence. Instead of just noting it, you bring back that insight, spark a cross-functional discussion, and co-develop a patient support initiative that genuinely moves the needle. That's not just activity. That's impact rooted in trust and collaboration. So don't rush the relationship. Invest in it, because every great insight, every shared innovation, and every breakthrough begins with trust. As an MSL, you also need to recognize something that isn't always openly discussed, but it's absolutely true. Your value within the medical team and across the broader organization is often reflected in the strength of your relationships with key customers and decision makers. It's not just about how many meetings you conduct. It's about who picks up your call, who invites you into meaningful scientific discussions, and how easily you can access top-tier KOLs when the organization needs insight, feedback, or support. That kind of access doesn't happen overnight. It's built on credibility, consistency, and trust. And here's the key point. Those relationships don't just benefit the company, they benefit you. Strong KOL relationships position you as someone with influence, field credibility, and strategic reach. And when leadership sees that you're the person KOLs turn to, when they see that you can open doors and bring back insights that move the needle, you stand out. You become not just another MSL, you become a go-to expert, a connector, and a trusted representative of the brand. So yes, invest in those relationships, not just because it's your job, but because it's one of the most powerful ways to accelerate your own growth and make a lasting impression in your career. The second recommendation is about insight generation, which is not about collecting comments here and there. It's about listening with intention and asking the kind of questions that uncover real strategic value. Insights should never feel random. They must be connected to both the medical strategy and the broader goals of the organization. Before every engagement, ask yourself, what do I need to learn that can shape our direction? What questions can guide the conversation toward our focus areas? And this is where purposeful questioning becomes key. Instead of generic queries like, what do you think of the drug? Ask more targeted ones like, what barriers do you face when identifying eligible patients for treatment X? Or, What type of support would make clinical trial participation easier for your center, especially in rare diseases, where patient pathways are fragmented and delayed diagnoses are common? Your insights can be a game changer. By understanding the real-world patient challenges, you can help your organization develop solutions that go beyond messaging. Solutions that improve diagnosis rates, bridge access gaps, and ultimately enhance healthcare delivery. Think of it this way. You're not just capturing what HCPs say. You're connecting the dots between their experiences and your strategy. That's how you shift from collecting data to creating value. So next time you prepare for a field visit or a virtual engagement, anchor your plan in one idea. What strategic question am I trying to answer today? Because when your insights are purposeful, aligned, and patient-centered, they stop being just feedback and start becoming catalysts for real, impactful change. The third recommendation is a non-negotiable part of your role: compliance. As an MSL, you're often operating independently, meeting external stakeholders, navigating complex conversations, and handling sensitive information. That autonomy is powerful, but it comes with a serious responsibility. Maintaining compliance isn't just about avoiding trouble. It's about building trust and preserving your credibility. Every compliant action reinforces that you are a reliable, ethical partner. And when trust is high, collaboration becomes easier, and your strategic voice gains more weight within the organization. But let's get practical. What does non-compliance look like? Here are some common mistakes MSLs fall into, often unintentionally. Overstepping boundaries with off-label discussions. Even if a KOL asks directly, MSLs must stick to the approved content. It's easy to slip when trying to sound helpful, but that's where many cross the line. Providing proactive clinical advice, recommending how to treat a patient or interpret lab results might seem harmless, but that crosses into medical practice, something we must never do. Sharing promotional materials or commercial slides during scientific discussions. Even doing it just once can seriously damage your credibility and put your company at legal risk. Failing to document interactions appropriately. If you're collecting insights or medical questions, but not logging them in the CRM, you're creating gaps in accountability, and that can raise red flags in audits. Being too close to commercial teams in joint meetings without clear roles. If you're speaking in the wrong setting or blurring the line between scientific and promotional messaging, it undermines the compliance framework your role depends on. That's why ethical decision-making isn't a luxury. It's a discipline. It ensures that every interaction is transparent, grounded in science, and aligned with your company's values and objectives. Think of it this way. When you're compliant, you're not just protecting yourself. You're protecting the trust you've worked so hard to build with KOLs and internal teams alike. And trust, once broken, is almost impossible to regain. So when in doubt, pause, ask, double-check. It's always better to delay a response than to give one that violates policy. Because at the end of the day, your reputation is built not just on what you say, but on how you say it, when you say it, and what boundaries you respect. And recommendation number 4 is close to my heart, because it's where many great MSLs fall short. You're out there doing meaningful work, engaging experts, gathering insights, supporting clinical development, and educating HCPs. But here's the truth. If you don't show the impact of that work, it's invisible to the organization. This is not about being self-promotional. It's about being strategically visible. Your activities must translate into outcomes that leadership and cross-functional partners can understand and value. And to do that, you need to master what we call the 3 pillars of impact in medical affairs. 1. Strategic alignment. Your activities should never be random. Ask yourself, is what I'm doing tied to our medical objectives? Am I helping move the needle on something that matters to the brand or the therapy area? Example: if your company is focused on improving early diagnosis, then your KOL discussions, advisory boards, or Congress insights should center around identifying gaps in detection or awareness, not just general feedback. 2. Business acumen. This is where many MSLs get uncomfortable, but it's critical. You need to understand how your work connects to broader business priorities. You don't need to become a marketer or sales leader, but you do need to understand what value means to the organization. For instance, if you uncover a clinical question that delays prescribing in certain geographies, and that insight informs a new medical education initiative, you just created business value. That's how you go from "I had 10 KOL meetings" to "I identified a pattern that resolved a barrier to adoption." 3. Advanced communication skills. You could be doing the most strategic work, but if you can't explain it clearly, its value is lost. This is where storytelling comes in. Learn to articulate your contributions using SPAR-style narratives: situation, problem, action, result. Use visuals, short impact statements, and outcomes that non-medical stakeholders can grasp. Instead of saying, "I supported a publication review," say, "I helped ensure key real-world data was included in our publication plan, aligning with stakeholder needs and strengthening our evidence story in the reimbursement submission." That's the difference between an update and an insight. Now back to the main point. Showcasing impact is not optional. It's what ensures your role is recognized, your seat at the table is preserved, and your work fuels strategic decisions. So ask yourself regularly, what did I do this quarter that made a measurable difference? What evidence or example can I use to prove that value? Who needs to know this? And how should I communicate it? Because when you frame your work through the lens of strategy, business relevance, and clear communication, you stop being seen as a scientific visitor and start being seen as a strategic driver of change. Number 5 is keep learning. Stay scientifically curious. Science never stops, and neither should you. Stay on top of new trials, treatment paradigms, digital tools, and evolving disease landscapes. But go beyond your therapeutic area. Understand the evolving healthcare system. Learn how AI is changing diagnostics. Dive into health economics. Every piece of learning adds layers to your strategic value. Want to stand out? Be the one who can connect the dots between scientific data and real-world application. And always remember that continuous learning fosters innovation and collaboration within the organization and also across healthcare landscape. Let's pause here and talk about something that many MSLs quietly wonder about, but don't often speak up on. What's next for me? Being an MSL is an incredibly rewarding role. It blends science, communication, strategy, and field presence. But here's the truth. It's not a career ladder you automatically climb just by doing your job for a few years. There is no time-regulated promotion path anymore. Gone are the days where you just wait for your turn. 3 years in the role, and voila, you get promoted. That model is outdated. The reality today? Career progression is not granted. It's owned. You need to take ownership of your journey, actively, intentionally, and consistently. And that begins with a mindset shift. No one is more invested in your career than you. Ask yourself some reflective questions. Where do I want to go in the next 2 to 5 years? Do I want to specialize further in scientific communication? Am I interested in moving toward medical strategy, people leadership, or even a global role? And then the big question, what skills, experiences, and exposure do I need to get there? Now let's explore some ways you can start developing yourself as an MSL. 1. Seek mentorship, internally and externally. Find someone within your organization who's a few steps ahead of you. Medical managers, directors, even senior MSLs, they can offer insight into how they grew, what challenges they faced, and what you need to focus on. Also, consider external mentors from your broader professional network. Different perspectives can open doors you didn't even know existed. 2. Get coaching. Coaching isn't just for executives anymore. Even early to mid-career professionals benefit hugely from having someone guide them through personal development, leadership challenges, or strategic thinking. It helps you identify blind spots, build confidence, and stay accountable to your own growth. 3. Pursue learning beyond your day job. Enroll in short courses on strategic planning, health economics, digital health, or data analytics. Read books, attend conferences, learn about business operations, understand patient journeys in other specialties. The broader your skill set, the more agile and promotable you become. And here's a pro tip. Don't wait for your company to sponsor your learning. Invest in yourself. You are your own most important asset. 4. Volunteer for stretch projects. Say yes to that cross-functional task force. Offer to present insights to leadership. Volunteer to mentor a new MSL. These may seem like extras, but they're the real difference makers. They build visibility, trust, and strategic muscle. In summary, your career is a product of your decisions, not your tenure. Don't sit back and hope someone notices you. Step forward, ask for feedback, set goals, track your growth. Because when you take charge of your development, you're not just building a career, you're shaping a legacy. Number 7 is master cross-functional collaboration. This is one of the most powerful but often underestimated skills for MSLs, cross-functional collaboration. Being in medical affairs means you sit at a unique intersection. You're not just the bridge between science and practice, you're also a bridge between functions. You interact with commercial, market access, regulatory, clinical operations, and sometimes even public affairs and governmental teams. And in this position, the way you communicate and collaborate has the potential to drive real strategic alignment. Here's the key. Effective collaboration isn't just about working together. It's about communicating intentionally. It's knowing how to speak the language of your colleagues. With market access, that might mean understanding cost effectiveness. With commercial, it's aligning on insights while staying compliant. With clinical operations, it's helping identify investigators or trial feasibility issues. Each team sees the world through a different lens, and that's a good thing. When you engage across teams, you begin to see a broader perspective on patient needs. For example, while your focus might be on treatment patterns and scientific data, your commercial colleagues may bring real-world prescribing challenges to the table. Market access might highlight barriers in reimbursement that weren't even on your radar. When these perspectives come together, you gain a more complete, patient-centric understanding. That's when you stop working in silos and start shaping strategy. And here's where the real value comes in. Sharing medical insights with other teams can align goals and drive unified outcomes. If you're collecting valuable information in the field, like shifting referral patterns or feedback on trial protocols, those insights don't belong in a vacuum. They're not just for your CRM. They should be shared with the right stakeholders to inform planning, resource allocation, and even pipeline decisions. But to do that effectively, you need strong communication. Not just content, but context. Explain what the insight means, why it matters, and how it connects to the broader goal. And let's be honest, collaboration isn't always smooth. There are tensions, competing priorities, differences in KPIs. But the best MSLs don't shy away from that. They navigate it with clarity, empathy, and professionalism. So here's your challenge. Next time you're in a cross-functional meeting, don't just listen passively. Ask yourself, what value can I add here as medical? What can I learn from this team that will help me see the full picture? How can we align our goals to create a bigger impact together? Because when you get collaboration right, you stop being just a contributor. You become a catalyst for strategic change across the organization. Now, earlier we talked in depth about advanced communication skills as one of the three core pillars to showcasing your impact, so we're not going to repeat everything here. But let's step back and give this one more layer. Storytelling is not just a presentation skill, it's a leadership skill. Whether you're debriefing an internal team, sharing a field insight with impact, or facilitating a roundtable discussion with KOLs, your ability to turn complex information into a compelling narrative can make or break your message. Think about it. People forget data points. They forget slide titles. But they remember stories, especially when those stories are relevant, structured, and emotionally intelligent. So here's a general recommendation. Make storytelling a daily habit. Whether you're summarizing a KOL engagement or explaining why a project matters, practice framing it in terms of what was the situation? What challenge did we face? What action did I take? What result did it lead to? This SPAR-style structure helps your audience follow the logic, feel the significance, and, most importantly, remember the point. Because at the end of the day, the most influential MSLs aren't just the most knowledgeable. They're the ones who can take that knowledge and make it matter. Number 9 is to embrace digital transformation. Field engagement is evolving. Today's MSL must be comfortable using CRM tools, virtual engagement platforms, data dashboards, and even AI-driven insight tools. Digital fluency is not just a nice to have anymore, it's a must. And more importantly, use these tools strategically, not mechanically. Leverage data to plan smarter KOL interactions. Use dashboards to show trends. Apply AI tools to cluster insights. Don't fear technology, lead with it. Finally, emotional intelligence. The role of an MSL is a demanding role. Rejections from HCPs, shifting priorities, travel fatigue, and internal pressure can take their toll. That's where emotional intelligence matters. Be aware of your triggers, manage stress, show empathy to others and yourself. Develop resilience not by ignoring challenges, but by learning from them. And remember, your mindset often determines your long-term success more than any scientific knowledge. So, there you have it. 10 powerful recommendations that can guide your journey as an MSL. This isn't just a checklist, it's a mindset, a way of working and growing in one of the most dynamic roles in the pharmaceutical industry. Keep showing up, keep learning, keep driving impact, and above all, remember, your role is not just to share science, but to shape it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more insights and real-world strategies.